You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3 W297CL Levittown.
This is the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show, a weekly broadcast that breaks down each Eagles game better than anyone else. The Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show is broadcasting live from the Great American Pub in Conshohocken and is heard on both 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM and is brought to you by the Great American Pub, Independence Blue Cross, Penn Community Bank, Fogo de Show, and Hand and Stone Spa. We now go live to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
And welcome, everybody, to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. This is the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM. We're going to talk about yesterday's 37-17 win over the Cincinnati Bengals with my co-host, the one and only Paul Domowitch. How are you, Domo?
Doing well, Jolly. How about you?
Very well. We're very well and very lucky to be joined by the World Series right now. Dodgers had 2-0. We have a guy here who played center field in Los Angeles for the USC Trojans. Also played a little football. Went career with football, drafted by the Lions, played with the Lions, Eagles, the Cowboys. Lives here in Cherry Hill. Mr. Garry Cobb, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Doing real good.
That's good.
Good to have you here.
Obviously, the Eagles played their best game of the year yesterday. They played 2 games in a row. Damo, 3 games without a turnover, 4 games without a pick for Jalen. They got 2 turnovers yesterday. Saquon ran the ball. The defense was good. Cooper DeJean, very intuitive. Put everything in the blender, and what was it, a couple things that stood out yesterday?
Well, I mean, I think offensively we're kind of starting to see them establish an identity, and it basically leads with Saquon. I mean, you know, right now their run play average is something like 53%. I mean, they're going to hammer the ball. They're going to give it to him as long as he's upright, and that helps everything. That helps Jalen, helps the receivers. You know, they've weathered injuries in the offensive line. Defensively, I mean, we're seeing the young kids come along here. Yeah. Cooper DeJean had a really nice game yesterday. Yeah. Made some big plays. They finally got a couple of got a turnover, which was nice.
What is that? What's that?
I mean, you know, it was as complete a game as they've played all year. Clearly.
And Gary, this is kind of a silly statement, but given the beginning of the season, Vic Fangio's team getting a lot better defensively. Obviously, Kellen Moore getting used to the offense, getting familiar. Nick Sirianni's done a nice job ever since he started coaching football instead of worrying about the kids and the crowd. One kid, Cooper DeJean, that was drafted by Howie Roseman, has done very well. Return punts, playing the nickel corner. He's intuitive. That quick second, the quick burst that he went to get Jamar Chase yesterday, he does something very well that the Eagles didn't do very well. This is tackle football, and he tackled. That's something you were very good at. You didn't really go for that missile shot too much. How important is tackling in tackle football?
Well, it's very important, especially, you know, as a DB, you know, a lot of times you're tackling out in open field. And other times, you know, with Cooper DeJean, he's been able to make tackles near the line of scrimmage on a third down play where either you make the play and then you get the ball, your offense gets the ball, or if you miss them, you know, these kids can turn around and turn a missed tackle into a big play where they take it to the house, or they just make a long, what was a short throw, let's say, they make it a long play. So he's very good at making tackles. You see he's got some aggressiveness, which a lot of times in the NFL now, there are a lot of DBs, they say, well, that's not part of my contract. I don't tackle. But he's willing to tackle, and he's can be aggressive. In the play he made yesterday with on Chase, on Jamar Chase, to go up on that fourth down play, go up there.
Huge play.
And make the play like that. To explode, you see him just accelerate, you know, on Chase. Chase, he's one of the best athletes in the NFL. And to be able to tackle him in open field like that, Now, that's just great football. That's the kind of thing where you get excited and you say, man, they really have something, because that was a big-time play.
They had 2 missed tackles yesterday, season low. I mean, before the bye, we talked ad nauseum about how awful the tackling was and whether you could really get any better when you're not allowed to tackle to the ground in practice.
Yeah.
Well, they found a way.
Yep.
I mean, they found some drills that worked. They put enough emphasis on it.
Yes.
I mean, in the last 3 games, they've got a total of 11 missed tackles.
And
amazing.
the thing that I like, and a lot of times, people, the guys, you talk to them and everything, and they're talking about they're going to do this and they're going to do that. You can see clearly that they really did talk about it, and they've changed the way they've been playing.
But did they do it? You can talk all you want about everything, but in practice, when you practice in pads, you tackle to the ground. Now in millennial NFL with its CBA, you don't do it that much. Does it hurt a team in games? I mean, this is kind of a dull line, but just for people out there, if you don't practice it, it's hard to do it, isn't it?
Well, it is, and that's why you got to take your hat off to them. But they talked about it, and the guys really bought in to say, hey, we are going to tackle better. We're going to try to focus on it better, and they've improved. And I got to give them credit, because a lot of times you go over there, you hear stuff, that the guy's just talking. No, they really did it, and they're playing better.
Yeah.
I got to admit, because come on, earlier they was no pass rush at all. Where you could go in like, okay, I want somebody to tell me what number the quarterback was wearing yesterday, and they were flunk.
All right, it's interesting because we talk about the tackling, the defense, the edge, the sacks. Dom, on WIP, we've been talking a lot about what is the Eagles' identity. Are they a running team? Are they a passing team? Run first. We know they get slow starts, haven't scored yet in the first quarter, but Saquon is the bell cow. The Eagles' identity is, in your opinion, blank.
Their offensive
offensive identity.
They're going to be a run team. I don't think you'd put them in, going back a few years to when Rex Ryan was the Jets coach and the ground and pound. They're not that. They've got 2 of the best wide receivers in the league. They've got Goddard. They've got, Calcaterra. They've got a lot of receivers. But it's clear that the guy they're going to lead with, the first step out of the box is going to be Saquon.
Yeah, you got that offensive line, and you got a back like that. I think it makes sense.
And they did something yesterday also, which I think we're going to see more of. I mean, Jalen became a runner. I mean, not just I'll take off when
3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, 9 of his 10 runs yesterday were designs, designed runs. Now, 5 of them were tush pushes, but
1 touchdown.
He had those draws. Now, I don't know. Maybe they just felt Cincinnati was giving him that middle, and they were going to take it. But he's clearly not afraid to take it. He didn't slide on a couple of those.
Yep.
I mean,
you're right. Yeah, and I would talk to him about that. but
slid yesterday.
But he and you can see he accelerates and he does. He's got good vision on that.
Yeah.
And he makes good decisions on that. And as long as I would tell him, hey, take care of yourself. We don't need you, taking shots and stuff. But you got to give him credit. They were explosive plays.
Yeah.
All right, G, we like to kind of throw curveballs here. We're going to talk mostly about the Eagles tonight, but you were telling me before the show about a book that you read by a gentleman named Tyreek Stevenson entitled How to Defend the Hail Mary. It seems like he kind of went off the rails yesterday. What happened with that?
Well, I'll tell you, I was, of course, I didn't like the way the game ended. But
none of us did.
But to see a DB on the field yelling at the fans, and you see them snapping the ball, and that's when you're the coach. You're going, son, I need to talk to you. Come here. Because
take a seat.
That's right. Grab a seat over there.
It's not like after ripping the fans, the ball actually got to him. Did he actually touch the ball on that play?
He touched the ball.
Oh, wait, did he tip the ball to the wide open guy?
Unfortunately for him, he ended up tipping the ball. If he'd have just stayed over and kept talking to fans, maybe they would have won the game. But to see that happen, and the coaching was terrible there because everybody just went after the ball.
Yep.
And you can't do that. At least you're hearing coaches that have been around a while. They're going to make sure you don't do that.
Yeah, I mean. How many times do you have to be coached that you knock it down?
Knock it down.
That's right.
You don't allow that to ever happen.
That's right. But But, guys get caught up in the moment,
Yeah.
and if you don't have a coach that will calm them down,
Yeah.
and I would have taken some of those big guys off the field, too.
Well, you make a good point, Chief.
Like with the pass rushers, big guys that are, you see they got tired.
Or you rush 5 guys. But the one thing I
That's
want to
right.
ask you about, you played linebacker in this league, very athletic, obviously. I don't want to curse on this show, but I feel like it. What the bleep are the Bears doing using a spy? Spying who for what?
Yeah, I know.
They're
Yeah.
They're not throwing the ball 8 yards. Everybody knows
Well,
that.
I probably would have taken some of my defensive linemen out because they're going to get tired of pass rushing. Yeah. And that's what happened. But, it's something they didn't go over. They didn't go over with the detail because they just broke down. I mean, the guys weren't really disciplined in what they did, and everybody just went after the football when it was in the air. And they wound up really, they're getting, that was, I don't know, it was like a knife in the back.
Yeah, the division lead, Damo, goes to the Commanders. Obviously, they play them twice.
And that was just really because, the Eagles,
Yeah.
they were going to be in first place.
They were, and it's interesting because a lot of us said when they were 2-2, the next 4 games are going to chart the Eagles' course. The schedule's not that brutal coming in, but the next 4 pretty easy, other than one in Cincinnati. They're 3-0 down on those, 5-2. After this week, the flex game with Dougie P, Jacksonville at home. Then there are 4 games at Dallas, Washington at home, at Los Angeles, and at Baltimore. That's some pretty tough sledding.
How about those Cowboys?
Yeah, how about them? You played for them, right?
Did I? No, I mean,
You don't want to admit it. You don't want to admit it right now.
I mean, you're talking about an organization that's taking the hit, man.
Yeah.
They had some problems with the media too, Damo, last night.
Yeah. I mean, they're in free fall.
I mean,
It's fun to watch, isn't it?
I've never seen an owner, make the move that Jerry did when he's threatening the guy on the air, man. I mean, like, Jerry threatening the guy's job on the air. All the guys doing his job.
Yep.
The team is in free fall, and the guy can't answer a question about it. I mean, that was.
And they've gotten, they've
was
got
bad.
no answer. I mean, they're a bad team right now.
They are a bad team.
There's not much you can point to. Their defense isn't playing very well. They don't have a running game. Dak Prescott's throwing interceptions.
Yeah.
They don't have enough receivers.
Can't
And
stop
I'm not
the
sure.
run, no Micah Parsons.
I'm not sure that organization is capable of rebuilding. I
Yeah.
mean, they don't have. I mean, Mike McCarthy's probably going to get fired at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But their personnel people, basically, it's Stephen Jones, who's Jerry's son, who.
That's right.
I mean, come on.
It's unbelievable. I mean, a lot of things going on in the NFL, a lot of walk-offs yesterday, but some stuff we've never seen, guys. Again, we're going to get back to the Eagles, but yesterday was such an intriguing day. National Tight Ends Day, and we'll get to that also.
Oh, yeah, nationally. That's a classic move. I could see the NFL doing some things with that because a lot of people are having fun with that.
Yeah.
Tight ends caught more passes yesterday than they've ever caught in a weekend, maybe because of National Tight Ends Day.
Is that so?
Yep. Anthony Richardson, there's no octagon in the NFL. There's stands. But, guys, Anthony Richardson of the Colts, a guy I never liked, started like 12 games at Florida. Not an MMA fight, but he tapped out at the end of the third quarter. He ran on a play, had to run around a little bit, which people have to do in the NFL. Got tackled, tapped his helmet, and said after the game, he said, this isn't guessing, I was tired, I had to come out.
I have
Never seen that before, G.
I've never seen a quarterback do it.
Anybody.
I mean, you see players that
You see them
put their
come
hand
out but
up.
not tap out like they.
Yeah.
Is there a rule?
Not a quarterback.
What does that say about your heart, G?
Well, it clearly says that mentally, he needs somebody. He needs to talk to him to let them know to look. As the quarterback, you can't just. Well, you're going to just take yourself out of the game.
44% completion, and Steichen today said every position's up for analysis. Flacco could come in. It is what it is.
Rightfully so, but nothing doesn't shock me now. I am still surprised, but the kids today, they're just many of them are different. They're just different.
They are different, and a lot of different things happen.
They make it interesting, though. I got to give them that.
The NFL is very interesting. Yesterday, the Detroit Lions threw for 85 yards. Terrible day for Jared Goff. Not really. 12 for 16. They managed to score 52 points. You never know in the NFL. KC's undefeated. Lots of stuff going on. Eagles falling behind in the East because of the Hail Mary. We'll talk more about the Birds. We'll talk about the defense. We'll talk about the coordinators. Are they getting familiar with their sides? Are they getting better? Looks like they are. The Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff continues from the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Come on, sit down and say hi to Gary. We're back right after this. Stay with us.
1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com. United States Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick is your independent voice, proudly serving the Pennsylvania 1st District. Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick is focused on solutions and protecting your families. Brian Fitzpatrick is for all of us and is proud to serve all of us. The proceeding paid for by Fitzpatrick for all of us.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
All right, back at the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Halloween is this week, and Paul Domowitch, the Carolina Panthers seemed like they dressed up as a football team yesterday. Are they the worst team in football, and by how much?
Well, there's quite a few that are pretty bad right now if you throw in Tennessee, but probably Carolina is the worst. And again, I talked to somebody in their organization about a week ago, and he said that, I mean, when he's admitting that there's no talent at all on that team, and they're just a mess. I mean, the coach picked the owner made, drafted the quarterback.
So that was the owner that made that decision.
Oh, yeah.
So they're they're a ×3 Dallas, where there's just no hope of them getting better anytime soon, and they don't have the people there. I mean, Dan Morgan's the GM, but he's in over his head. So
former linebacker.
Yeah,
I heard that they were going to try to win the college tournament this year.
I don't think they would.
I don't think they'd qualify.
They wouldn't. By the way, you talking about the World Series a little bit. Gee, when you played baseball,
yeah,
you were good enough you got drafted, didn't you?
Yeah, I got drafted. But when I went to USC, I was recruited by John McKay, and John McKay was the athletic director.
Yep.
And so he was telling me, "Hey, look, you're going to play baseball," and of course, after my freshman year, he left. So John Robinson comes in. He's giving me putting me under all this pressure on me. He wants me out for spring practice and stuff. So I didn't enjoy that as much as I would have if he had been there the whole time, because he encouraged you to play the other sports and stuff. But and then football was just so big at USC. Of course, you got 1,000 people at the games, and you're playing for a national championship year after year, and of course baseball. Even though they were winning championships at USC, you didn't even know the baseball team was playing.
You were on what I consider, and I'm a pretty big college football fan, the best college football team ever, in my opinion, the 1979 USC team.
We had some good teams.
I think all 22 of your starters made the NFL. Every single one on offense and defense. That's never, ever happened before. What was that like?
Well, I got to say, I didn't realize, when you're playing, you don't realize all these guys going to go to the pros.
Every one of them.
And so many guys. But the thing is that, the competition was tough. And, you knew that there were things expected of you. And, of course, they expect you to win all the time. But there were a lot of good players and a lot of good people. And I think about a lot of the guys that I played with.
Who's the best
guys
player on
got
that
Anthony Munoz and
Yep.
Ronnie Lott.
Marcus Allen?
Marcus was on that team. But you had, the Matthews. You had all those guys on there. And
It's like about 5, 6 Hall of Famers.
I mean, you got a lot of great players. And there were a lot of the guys that were great NFL players. And the thing was, the guys were mature. So you came in that atmosphere, you had a real good chance of eventually being a pro because the guys took the game seriously, and the competition was tough.
I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but a lot of great players on that team, a lot of Hall of Famers. The quarterback wasn't one of them, but he did make the NFL, play with the Browns, I think, maybe somebody else. Who was the quarterback in the 1979 USC Trojans?
Tell me.
Sounds like
I
he has
can't remember.
Wait, I'll tell you that. He sounds like he has a restaurant that serves Big Macs. Paul McDonald.
Yeah,
Okay,
Paul
that's
McDonald,
right.
yeah.
Yep. Gee, you play with the Lions, too. I mean, the Lions, a sad sack team forever.
Yeah.
Not exactly sad sack now. The Cowboys go in the one direction.
Yep.
The Lions, how about them? The
Yeah,
opposite direction.
They really, I got to say, that coach over there seems like he's doing a good job.
Love him.
Because the guys are holding each other accountable. You see how hard they play. They're ready for the games. They play smart football. You see a lot of good things over there. They definitely are going to be a team that the Eagles are going to have to deal with probably down the road somewhere. Yeah. So now they got a good football team and they play good football. That type of thing. When you play, that when those guys go in to work every day, they're sitting in the film rooms. They're paying attention. When they practice, they're practicing like pros, and that's the thing I see up there. And the guys play hard, and I hated to see the kid get hurt.
Hutchinson.
Yeah, Hutchinson. I really hated to see him get hurt like that. The kid, that good of a player, to see that type of injury. Felt bad about that, but they got a good football team, and down the road somewhere, the Eagles are probably going to have to deal with them.
Yeah.
And they'll have to deal with a lot of people. Yesterday, one of the things the Eagles had to deal with was offensive line injuries. Fred Johnson played great on Hendrickson, like 7 sacks.
Tremendous job he did over there. That's outstanding, yeah.
It seems, Damo, like whoever comes in does a tremendous job. There's a couple things in bringing a player to the NFL. Identifying talent, teaching him what to do once he gets to the NFL, and then watching him play and watching the synchronicity of the offensive line, which is like a Swiss watch, not just 5 individuals. Synchronicity.
Don't use big words.
There's a
here,
Police
okay?
album, too. How about, is Jeff Stoutland, I hate to make polar statements like this, but is he as good an offensive line coach or assistant coach as has ever been in the NFL?
I mean, he's very, very good. Where do you put him when you consider Howard Mudd?
But he's
Jim
up
Johnson?
there, right?
Yes, he's very up there, and it's one of the reasons why a guy like Tyler Steen's ready to go when they plug him in there.
Who's Fred Johnson?
At least Fred's played before. I mean, Tyler Steen wasn't as experienced, but both of them, they step in, and the quarterback wasn't touched yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, he had all the time in the world to throw.
They did an outstanding job.
Yeah, just amazing. And and Stout deserves a lot of the credit.
Gee, you ever play against a backup where you think you're licking your chops, you're going to get off on this guy, and then you realize he's pretty damn good? What's that like?
That's not a good feeling. But but you see that they do a good job with that line. And, you see him out there at practice, how he's working with the guys, and they're working on their technique. And you're doing it over and over and over. But that's the way you get good at something, to go out there and even see those guys out there after practice, see guys out there working on their technique and everything. And, I've been, to see good teams, that's the way good teams are. Guys are responsible for being ready to play, and if you get that where everybody on the team is personally responsible for how they play, because they know everybody's dependent on them, and that's a great type of atmosphere to have, and you can see that offensive line has got that.
Going back to, Andy was when he got here. I mean, everything was gonna start with was offensive and defensive lines. You saw that in the draft. You saw that. I mean, if you had good lines, anything was possible.
Yep.
And and then you got to have depth. I mean, you go back to 2020, the year, the last year. Was that Doug's last year?
Yep.
Yeah. Their offensive line, I think, missed like 40 starts that year. I mean, they just had injury after injury, and they didn't have enough depth, and they finished 4-12, I guess. So I mean, I think Howie. And then when they got Nick, they both vowed that and with Stoutland there, that we always have to make sure we have enough depth, we have backups for the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And they lose their left tackle, Jordan Mailata. That could be, most teams that's devastating.
Yep.
Especially when you got a guy that good.
Yeah.
You know.
And then Jalen had thrown a pick in 3 weeks, and all and Saquon.
Yeah.
Defensively, guys, there's stake players on teams. There's sizzle players. We have guys who are both Jalen, Saquon, full of stars defensively. Quinyon, the rookie, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, goes on and on. And then there's stake players, guys who are just very good and can walk down the street in Center City and nobody have any idea who they are. One that I'm thinking is a guy named Baum Kamazak, who's been unbelievable, guys. What do you think of him?
I missed him.
You missed him?
Is this a joke or what?
Zach Baum.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, they didn't. I mean, New Orleans certainly didn't know what they had. They let him walk.
Guy's a machine.
Yeah, he's outstanding.
Yeah, he's been incredible.
Yeah.
And he's staying healthy.
And I love the way the kid tackles. You know,
Yep.
he's old-fashioned tackler. Rather than cutting at people's legs and everything, he goes up into a guy and he wraps the guy up. And once you wrap a guy up, everybody else is going to be able to get there to help you with the guy.
Yeah.
So I just love to see that good classic tackling.
What I like about this defense with him and Nakobe Dean, and Vicks is starting to exploit it, is the fact that both of the – I mean, Bond was an edge rusher with New Orleans. I mean, he can rush the passer. You know, Nakobe Dean was a heck of a blitzer at Georgia.
They were saying yesterday a little bit.
Yeah, he's starting to show us now here what he can do.
Yep.
I mean, if these guys can get out to early leads like they did 2 years ago and make teams play catch up where there's no run game to worry about.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to be quarterbacks are going to be on their back all day.
All right, the one thing that we still go crazy about with this team, guys, is the slow starts. Obviously, the Cincinnati had a 10-minute drive. Eagles scored on the second play of the second quarter. Gee, when you have something that you just got to scratch your head, when you're a member of a team and you can't score in the first quarter, or Nigerian quarterbacks drive you crazy, or something that makes no sense. This makes no sense to me. Does it make any sense to you at all? Is the scripted plays bad luck? What?
They weren't playing well, earlier in the year. But I think that you can start pressing, and you can't do that. So I think they're at the point now where they probably press a little bit too much to go ahead and get over this thing. And then they seem to relax there once you get to the second quarter, and then they just kind of start flowing. And, offensively, a lot of times the things you're doing, especially your skill position players, they can't be doing it and be, too tight about it. You gotta relax.
How much easier is it going to make it, Dom, if the Eagles can actually start fast and instead of having to come back all the time, start with a lead and maybe just drive a team into submission?
Yeah, well, I mean, yesterday was extenuating circumstances because that first drive by Cincinnati. I mean, the offense didn't get the ball till there were like 4.5 minutes left.
Were you worried? Would that first drive go, going to be a long day? What did they do to turn that around?
Well, the first two drives. I mean, fortunately on the second drive they held them to a field goal.
Gesicki drove them crazy.
Those first two drives.
They started to make some adjustments. They tightened up their coverage a little bit. They started mixing up. They started blitzing Burrow, and things started to work out for them. But I mean, the way it started out, I'm thinking, geez. Unfortunately, the offense, after I think they scored a field goal on their first possession, then did not score. But they scored. They rattled off like 5 scores in a row.
6 out of 7 possessions.
So, it's starting to come together for them.
Defensively, obviously, they did a job on Burrow. scored on 6 or 7 possessions. I got to give you, Domo, they deferred, and that worked out yesterday, although not in the first quarter. When you look at Jamar Chase, now they handled him. T. Higgins didn't play. They put Quinyon Mitchell guys on Jamar Chase a lot of the time. Obviously, Vic Fangio likes Tampa too, but they played a lot of man, including that 4th down play. What does that say to you confidence-wise that you're putting a rookie? You got Slay on the other side who got hurt in the 3rd quarter. You're putting a rookie on arguably the best receiver in football, or one of the couple, along with A.J. Brown and the like. What does that tell you guys?
It tells me that, I mean, with both him and DeJean, nothing's too big for them. I mean, they're not intimidated by anyone, or they're not too cocky. I mean, you're not seeing Mitchell. I mean, Mitchell can do some jabbering, but you're not seeing him getting in Chase's face and after one pass breakup. I mean, you got to love it when you see that. I think Chase ended up with 9 catches, but for 54 yards.
Yep.
So that's great.
Yeah, all those guys, they do. You not only like their ability and everything, but they act like professionals.
Yeah.
They're not, they're not going to run from anybody, but they're not out there, trying to go into things after every play. We don't need all of the all of the stuff that one of their teammates does, but hey, you made a play. I mean, act like you've been
there.
You've been there before, and they definitely have been impressive throughout this season.
Well, they've been in the Super Bowl before. A lot of people think maybe that's a goal. It's the only goal. Next week, the Jacksonville Jaguars come in. Not the Jaguars, the Jaguars. And Dougie P. Will this be Doug Peterson's swan song coming to Philadelphia? His team's not very good. He's been here once before. Yeah. We'll talk about it with Paul Domowitch, our guest Garry Cobb on the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff from the pub in Conshohocken right after this. Stay with us.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
And we're back here at the Great American Pub in Conshohocken, where my buddy Will Yip just walked by. Will has been nominated for Grammy for Album of the Year 3 times, guys. Has not won yet, but he will soon. Josh Pierce will also here. The celebrities all come out for the Monday Night Kickoff Show. Garry Cobb is our guest. Paul Domowitch, our co-host. Domo, the NBA, I'm looking at the TV, it says NBA, so I repeat that like a 5-year-old. The NFL trade deadline is next week, next Tuesday. Also kind of an important day in this country for other reasons. But the NFL trade deadline is Tuesday. We've heard Myles Garrett, who ain't coming here. Cooper Kupp, after the Rams win, he ain't coming here. But somebody's coming here. Who?
Maybe. I don't know. Max Crosby won't be coming here. That'd be a nice addition.
That would be, yeah.
Very nice.
Nick was asked today about it, and he said, I love the team I have. He said, but Howie's always looking for ways to
Every coach
improve
always
it.
says.
I mean, the one thing I would, if they can get some edge rushing help, I would go and get it, because I'm not sure Bryce Huff. I don't know that the light's ever going to go on for him. I think the last couple of weeks we've seen something in Nolan Smith that maybe he's going to make a contribution.
BG keeps on chugging.
But you wonder how long BG can keep on chugging. I mean, he made a big play yesterday, but they've got to watch his snaps. I mean, he's 36 years old. So if they can get help on the outside for their pass rush, I would do it. I can't think of anything else that they're like I'd go out and get unless it's like for nothing.
Maybe another receiver. They got two, but maybe a tight end.
Well, they got to figure out when Goddard gets back.
If Goddard gets back. I mean, he'll get back this time, but he's going to get hurt again.
But, I mean, they need to integrate Calcaterra regularly. I mean, and so you can use him as a wide receiver essentially in like a 12 personnel, but he's a wide receiver. So I don't know.
A guy like Goddard, do you worry about him? I mean, he's been hurt one after the other, different injuries. Great guy. You see how important he is. But if they make the playoffs, do they need another tight end, a guy that can block as insurance? I think Howie might go off.
I would think of that. Having another guy that's blocked because Calcaterra, he's a good receiver, but you see him getting in there dealing with the guy with some size. That's not his cup of tea. So
he's getting better though. There's been a few times where he hasn't looked like he's been overmatched.
True. He's getting better.
They've got that 6'9" guy or whatever on their practice squad. I think. I don't know how well he can block or not. Yeah.
Well, if they haven't utilized him yet, I think there's a big question mark over him.
Yeah.
But I could see them thinking about getting a tight end that's a good blocker. I could see them trying to do that because if they can get that running game going, then it opens up everything else.
Yeah.
You lead into this so well, G. The segue is so perfect. By the way, you're listening to the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. We're here at the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Don't forget, you can watch the show live at WBCBSports.com and YouTube by searching WBCB Sports. And Eagles don't have to search for a running back. They got Kenny Gainwell, who played well, Will Shipley, who had a nice run that was taken back by penalty. Damo, before the show, we were talking about Saquon Barkley and his touches. Obviously, the longer you go, the more touches you have, the more chance of injury, the more tired you get. He's not tapping out anywhere. Eagles aren't getting another running back. Guys, Damo first, how do you handle Saquon's touches and managing him?
Well, clearly he means a lot to this team, and we've seen that. So, which means you can't pull back a lot. But right now he's on a pace for 316 carries. The most he's had was 2 years ago with the Giants, 295. And a year later, last season, his yardage per carry were down. He has an ankle injury.
It was a terrible team, too.
It was, but so was the 22 team wasn't exactly great either. So anyway, they need to, at some point here, just kind of monitor him. I mean, I don't think you want to have him have 20 carries every week. But again, if you're in a tough game, you don't want to pull him out. So, but I mean, you want this guy healthy for the playoffs because he's going to be the difference between you making it to the NFC Championship game and winning the Super Bowl.
Gee, when you were a very good linebacker, very tough. You could still play today. You're in unbelievable shape for a man that's 99 years old.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like you were softening?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky. Did you ever feel like you were softening a guy up when you hit him one time after the other? Could you ever feel that a guy was wilting before you as you played an NFL game?
Yeah, at times, you could tell that the guy really, the game was physical and the guy wasn't looking forward to getting hit anymore. That definitely, when you're out there, you can see that. Or if you're blitzing and the guy's not picking you up, he's basically kind of, trying to cut you. He doesn't want to, he doesn't want you to run over him. And
kind of like Zach Ertz a few years ago in that. I forget who he was trying to play.
Now Zach, Zach doesn't look forward to the blocking part. He wants to run routes and everything, and he's got great hands and everything. But he's looking to catch the ball. But definitely, you can see a guy who's really not crazy about the physical part of the game. But I would say with Barkley, what I would do is I would give him the ball more where I'm getting the ball to him on those short throws with screens and different things where I'm giving the ball out in the open field where if he's out there, he's not going to take the kind of hits that he's going to get when he runs the ball
because you're trying to set up third and short. The key to NFL is third and short, right?
But getting the ball out in space, he's going to be getting hit by DBs, and or there'll be some linebackers, but he's going to be able to be out in space, so it's going to be hard to get good hits on him. So that's what I would do is I'm looking at how many times he's touching the ball. I say, okay, maybe I want to give him that ball 5 times where I'm throwing the ball to him, and maybe he's running the ball 15 times. But he's getting those balls out in open field, but I still want to be getting the ball in his hands. He's one of my best players. So I would try to get the ball to him out in some open field because he's lethal out there.
Yeah. Dom, what kind of a fine line is that when you know a guy's your main course? Obviously, Eagles have a very talented offense, but a guy's your main course, you don't want to use him too much, but you don't want to use him too little either. You're Nick Sirianni. You're not the play caller. How much of a juggling act is this for everybody?
Well, I mean, when they traded for him, I did not expect the heavy-duty use we've seen so far. I thought he was going to be more of a pass catcher. I thought they were going to integrate him more into the passing game. Except Jalen doesn't seem to like to throw to the running backs, which is the weirdest thing I've ever heard of.
Now, see, he's got to get out of that because, if you give the ball to a running back like that, and you throw it to him early, a lot of times he can get yardage for you, and he's not going to get hit really because, tackling a guy like that out in open field and being able to really get a good hit on him, that's nearly impossible.
There was a play yesterday. I was just looking it up. Fourth quarter, Saquon, it was a 17-yard run by Saquon in the fourth quarter, about with 6 minutes left. He's going down the right sideline, and a safety tries tackling him.
Yeah.
I mean, he just put his shoulder.
Oh, man.
It was like Derrick Henry-esque. I mean, this guy just went flying, and Saquon just keeps running. It was he's not right now. He's not in the mood to shy away from contact.
How about another guy the Eagles kind of went to yesterday, caught one pass for -2 yards last week, and quarter and a half into yesterday's game, he again caught one pass for -2 yards. Then he made an amazing catch on a bomb for a touchdown, caught 6 passes for 85 yards. Kind of came back from the hereafter yesterday, Devontae Smith.
Yeah, he and Jalen has a relationship with those guys where Devontae's never going to go off the rails and say he's not getting the ball enough. He knew they were looking for him. They tried early. They tried a screen that blew up early on. Yep. And, Jalen.
Workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
And back here at the Great American Pub, where next week we'll have Ray Didinger with Paul Domowitch. Garry Cobb is our guest. I'm Paul Jolovitz. Domo, I know you told me that when you do your calendar every year, the Great American Standby is July the 4th, Christmas, Thanksgiving. But National Tight Ends Day is special for you, and it was yesterday. Can you talk about why it's so special for you and how it started?
Yeah, it's right below National Daughters Day.
Well, why is there a National Tight Ends Day to begin with?
Because there's a National Every Day. I assume there's a National Offensive Tackle Day.
Was there a
National
linebacker
Day?
This is something new,
It is.
But you know what? I think it would work.
Yeah.
It is working.
I think a lot of people get excited about it, and, there are some guys I could see where they could get some recognition because, there are times guys who are great players that maybe they didn't get as much attention as they deserved.
But it seems like, that's the position, that's the vogue position. Obviously, quarterback always, an edge rusher. But tight ends, everybody's got a good tight end. They're too big for your safeties, too strong for safeties, too big for the linebackers, or too fast for linebackers. Who's the best tight end in football right now, guys?
Boy.
Might
be Kittle.
Yeah, I probably
Maybe.
might say Kittle because, you got a guy that can block and he's a great receiver, too.
I'll still take Travis Kelce, I think.
Or
He's had a rough year this year.
He had a breakout day Sunday. 9 catches for 90-something
A
yards.
lot of good ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah,
seems
now
to
they look for him. I mean, they do a great job. They got a great chemistry. And,
Who's the
and
tight
they
end?
do some things
it's-
where you're going like, look what they did,
Yeah.
Who's the
They
toughest
got a
one you
feel
had
for
to
each
ever
other.
cover? Back in your day, it wasn't quite the same. Obviously, they were tight ends, but they weren't quite the athletes they are now. Who was the best you ever had to cover?
The best I ever had to cover, let's see. Well, Bavaro was a good player. Yeah, I had to deal with Bavaro, yeah. He was good. Big, physical, you're going to have to battle him. He's a good blocker and a good receiver, and he can go up and make the tough catch, when you're battling for the ball and stuff. He was good. I think about, what am I thinking about? The guys down there, Cosby was a pretty good player.
A lot of good tight ends. Dom, what's the most underappreciated position in the NFL? National Tight Ends Day, there'll be a what 10 years from now? Seems like the running back position is kind of coming back a little bit. Yeah, fullback. Ben Van Susteren. How about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they used him again yesterday, I think 5 plays. Used him 4 the week before.
Does he get a carry this year?
He will at some point.
Well,
I mean, if you got a guy like that, you're going to find a way to throw. Andy would throw the ball to him at some point down by the goal line, and they'll do it. I mean, I think they're gonna expand that role.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw what they've had. He's played 9. He's been in there for 9 plays. They've run the ball. Kenny Gainwell and Saquon have run 9 times total for 90 yards, I believe. I mean, it's just been amazing.
Yeah.
So why don't they use him more?
Yeah. Why don't they?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It's a linebacker, but he can block.
like everything,
obviously.
you mix it in.
Yeah, you mix it in.
Yeah.
What was that? I was thinking about something where anyway, I don't know. I was thinking about somebody. I guess they went into the game. There was kind of something that happened, kind of unusual with the.
Yesterday?
I don't know if it was yesterday or earlier.
There was that college game Saturday. I can't remember. It was a big game, and they were using an offensive lineman as a
I know what I was trying to remember.
And he took the snap,
Yeah.
or they gave him the ball, and he fumbled at the goal line and
And
cost
see,
him the game.
that's what I was. I saw somebody was trying to get with the Lions, throwing the ball to the opposite tackle. Now to do that to a defense, you want to talk about a defensive coordinator mad. You're throwing the ball. You're humiliating us so much that now you want to throw the ball to your tackle.
Well, a guy
Instead
that
of
went
the
to
tackle.
Penn right after I graduated Penn, they had an offensive tackle named Joe Valerio from Ridley.
I remember Joe.
Was a second-round draft choice. The Chiefs caught 3 touchdown passes from Joe Montana on the tackle eligible. Jordan Mailata, a lot of people want him to carry the ball. But if he does and you fumble, you look like a moron. You got to be careful of getting too tricky, don't you?
Yeah.
But he would be a good guy that you put at tight end because, seeing him play rugby and everything, he probably could do a good job catching the ball. He's a good athlete.
All right, Monday Night Football tonight, guys. We have the Steelers, who are in the middle of a little quarterback derby here. Russell Wilson, tonight's starter, against the Giants, who are going nowhere very fast. Anything about this game make you want to watch it over the World Series?
No. Nothing at all.
It would have to be the Steelers because there's nothing about the Giants that you want to see.
There's nothing that would make me want to watch that game over QVC right
QVC, there we are. You and my wife Amy can watch together. Gee, how good is T.J. Watt?
He's an outstanding player. I mean, he's a dominant guy, can take over a game, and he's physical at the same time. He's got that burst around the corner, and he can beat you with the power move or with speed around the corner. So I'm glad I'm not trying to block him.
All right, Damo, there's a third Watt brother who plays fullback for the Steelers. We're going to take him out of the equation for a second. You can have one of these guys healthy for a whole career, use them however you want. Would you like A, J.J. Watt, or B, T.J. Watt?
Well, they're both probably Hall of Famers.
Oh, without question.
So I don't know. You're splitting, apples and that's splitting pears. I don't know.
Splitting pairs, that's a new one. Pretty
I'd
good,
say,
though.
you know what? Because of the fact that he hasn't been as hurt as much as his brother, I'd probably go with T.J. Watt.
Who tore his ACL last year. He's back now.
Yeah, but I mean, he doesn't
Yep.
get the nicks
true.
and bruises that J.J. did.
All right, G, you played in this league for a long time, played against some great players. Who's the best player you played against?
The best player, maybe it was Montana.
Better than Walter Payton?
Well, yeah, Walter was a great player too.
Some pretty good ones in the NFL when you played.
Yeah,
huh?
they played against some great guys.
Dickerson?
You know when you, yeah, oh boy, yeah, he was. he get going on you, boy. Yeah, you know, and they had a good line there in front of him. You know, they were good, but
I was
you
gonna
know,
say-
no,
oh,
go
go ahead. No, go ahead, you.
no, go ahead.
I was
me
just going to
wh-
ask you who the best player you played with was.
Probably Reggie.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably Reggie White.
You know,
But you
certain
see,
guys,
see
get
guys
no-
do things that you just standing over there going like,
Yeah, he
did
was,
I just
he
see
was
that?
Special.
You know.
you guys agree that you know you've achieved greatness, all-time greatness, when you're just your first name, Reggie. You know who you're talking about. You're not talking about Reggie Wilkes. God bless Reggie Wilkes. We're talking about Reggie White.
Yeah, that's if you're in Philadelphia. Of course, you know you can go somewhere else and say Reggie, and they think you're talking about somebody else.
Reggie
But-
Jackson.
October,
Yeah,
Yep.
Reggie Jackson. Yeah, he had that.
But yeah, well, I mean, he was just. You'd watch him and you're like, did he just do that?
I know, yeah.
So, G, what are you doing today? You played. You stayed in Philadelphia, doing a lot of good things with a lot of people. Tell us what you're doing.
Well, you know, I work for the NFL, working with players when they retire. A lot of times, guys have a tough time with the transition out of the NFL, especially when it happens a lot of times with guys early.
Yeah.
You know, where most of the guys, you know, you hear about guys playing, you know, 10, 11, 12 years, but most guys don't play that long. Most of the guys are playing 2 and 3 years, and then it's adios, you know. The guy might have been drafted in third, fourth round, whatever. But
And they
he
don't
doesn't-
get that second contract where
Yeah,
you can.
that's right. He doesn't play as long as he expected. Now he's got to go into the real world. And, you know, guys go through a tough time where emotionally they got to accept the fact that they didn't play as long as they thought they were. The career is over. And now they've got to make adjustments and decide what they're going to do career-wise. Some of them go back to school, but we help guys get jobs. And the big thing, though, emotionally, though, we have to have a talk with them. And they got to grow up, I mean, and make the type of changes, because when they're in the NFL does a good job of babying guys because the team has everything for them. Some guys don't even know how to go to the grocery store because
Yeah.
the NFL has, you know, like they go up there and eat every meal at the Eagles,
Yep.
let's say, facility. But, you know, once that's over, now, hey, welcome to the real world, big fella, you know.
Yeah.
Especially if they've come from a big college program
That's
where,
right.
where they were doing
You're right.
things for them
The
there
same
too.
thing, yeah, Yeah, that and because it's gotten worse. When I was at USC, you know, they did things for us, but it wasn't to that level.
Yeah.
But now it's just.
What would you have done if you had NILs in the transfer portal when you played with that team you played with? How many people would have offered them enough money to
Yeah, that
transfer?
would-
You had guys going right and left all over the place, huh?
That would have been really wild, boy, because you know it's enough stuff going on, but.
I don't think there's enough money in the world
Yeah.
to get nil deals for that USC
Oh, my
team
gosh.
you played on.
We had a lot of guys. Yeah, we had a lot of guys, but you know, because they were recruited pretty good, you know. So
All right, guys, we got 2 minutes left. We like to cross-train a little bit on this show.
Uh-oh.
G, you played baseball in college. Damo, you're a big baseball fan. Your daughter works for the Phillies, who we wish were in it, but they're not this year. Had Kyle Schwarber on game day with ESPN the other day at Indiana, who's undefeated in college football. Dodgers are undefeated in the World Series. Goes back to New York tonight. Some people are going to be here at the pub watching and enjoying the baseball game. Who you got tonight? Who you got in the World Series, Damo?
I think the Yankees will win tonight, but I think the Dodgers are going to end up winning this.
boy,
Ohtani's playing tonight, G.
yeah, I'd have to go ahead and go with the Dodgers. You know, I mean, ultimately they'll find a way, but yeah, I don't think they're going to sweep them, but.
Is Aaron Judge going to get in the act at all?
You would hope so for his sake. I mean, you hate to see a
absolutely
great
hope so.
player just disappear in big moments.
That's right.
So I hope he snaps out of it.
Hope he does, and we'll see. It's always a pleasure. Baseball, football, we have a nice crowd tonight. Thank everybody for coming. G, thank you so much for being here. We love
pleasure.
you. Damo, let's do it next week with Ray
You
Diddy.
betcha.
Yep. Football, baseball, we do it all in the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff. We're here at the Great American Pub in Conshohocken every week from 6 to 7. I'm Paul Jolovitz. Chris Summers produced this fine program. Gus Barber, great job back at the station. For Damo and G Cobb, I'm Jolly. We're back here next week. Until then, go Eagles!
You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3 W297CL Levittown.